Welcome back to our study of A Course in Miracles. I'm Danny Spendlove, and today we are in Chapter 4, Section 6, The Rewards of God. And I have to say, it is packed full of one-liner amazingness. I hope you enjoyed this one. Paragraph 1. The ego does not recognize the real source of quote-unquote threat. And if you associate yourself with the ego, you do not understand the situation as it is. Only your allegiance to it gives the ego any power over you. Only your allegiance to it gives the ego any power over you. I have spoken of the ego as if it were a separate thing, acting on its own. This was necessary to persuade you that you cannot dismiss it lightly and must realize how much of your thinking is ego-directed. We cannot safely let it go at that, however, or you will regard yourself as necessarily conflicted as long as you are here, or as long as you believe that you are here. We'll come back to that in a second. The ego is nothing more than a part of your belief about yourself. Your other life has continued without interruption, and has been and always will be totally unaffected by your attempts to dissociate it. So your other life, which I believe is referring to your spirit cannot leave its foundation, cannot perceive, it can only know. So it's not really, your spirit isn't here. And as long as you believe that you are here, then you have the ego. And your other life has continued without interruption and has been and always will be totally unaffected by your attempts to dissociate it. So you can try and dissociate from your spirit, but it doesn't really actually affect anything. Nice try, though. Paragraph 2. In learning to escape from illusions, your debt to your brother is something you must never forget. So if you want to actually escape from your illusions, you must never forget the debt you have to your brother. It is the same debt that you owe to me. So this debt to a brother is not exclusively like to your brother. When it says that in singular form, it doesn't mean just to Christ. By brother, it means all your brothers. So it's the same debt that you owe to me, which this is Christ speaking. Whenever you act egotistically towards another, you are throwing away the graciousness of your indebtedness and the holy perception it would produce. Holy perception. So it's not knowledge still, but a holy perception. When you recognize your indebtedness to your brothers. The term holy can be used here because as you learn how much you are indebted to the whole sonship, which includes me, you come as close to knowledge as perception can. Isn't that interesting? It's when we start to realize how indebted we are to the entire sonship that we get as close as is possible for us to get to knowledge. It creates this holy perception, not W-H-O-L-L-Y, but H-O-L-Y. The gap is then so small that knowledge can easily flow across it and obliterate it forever. And then you officially have knowledge. Paragraph 3. You have very little trust in me as yet, but it will increase as you turn more and more often to me instead of to your ego for guidance. The results will convince you increasingly that this choice is the only sane one you can make. And we talked in our last section about sane judgment and how much the ego fights against sane judgment. So this is saying that the only sane choice you can make is to trust Christ instead of your ego for guidance. No one who learns from experience that one choice brings peace and joy while another brings chaos and disaster needs additional convincing. Learning through rewards is more effective than learning through pain because pain is an ego illusion and can never induce more than a temporary effect because the ego can't make anything eternal, right? So learning through pain, which is an ego thing, will only be temporary. The rewards of God, however, are immediately recognized as eternal. Since this recognition is made by you and not the ego, the recognition itself establishes that you and your ego cannot be identical. You may believe that you have already accepted this difference, but you are by no means convinced of it yet. So you may already, like we've gotten this far in A Course in Miracles, you may already be saying, okay, I am not the ego. I am recognizing that now. And this is saying, you may think that you recognize it, but you are by no means convinced as yet. The fact that you believe you must escape from the ego shows this, but you cannot escape from the ego by humbling it or controlling it or punishing it. Paragraph 4. The ego and the spirit do not know each other. The separated mind cannot maintain the separation except by dissociating. Having done this, it denies all truly natural impulses, not because the ego is a separate thing, but because you want to believe that you are. Okay, there's 2 points in this that I want to go over really quickly. So the only way that the separated mind can maintain the separation is by dissociating. So you dissociate from your spirit and associate with the ego. And it says that having done this, your mind denies all truly natural impulses. And this made me think of chapter 4, section 4, paragraph 2. And if you recall, this is the part where it was saying all you need to do is think of what God would do and what he would not do, and then do what he would do and don't do what he wouldn't do. And then it says, this may seem hard to do, but it is much easier than trying to think against it. So you may think it's hard to do what God would do if he was here, but it's actually much easier to do what God would than trying to fight against that. What it's saying here is that once you have dissociated from your spirit and believe that you're separated, it denies all truly natural impulses. So our natural impulse is to do what God would do because we are an extension of him. So that is just natural. And it also said way back in the beginning that miracles are natural for us. Expressing love is natural. And yet, it seems like that doesn't always come naturally to us. Anyway, but it's because of the ego. So, having done this, it denies all truly natural impulses, not because the ego is a separate thing, but because you want to believe that you are. You want to believe that you are separate. The ego is a device for maintaining this belief, but it is still only your decision to use the device that enables it to endure. So the ego isn't even a separate thing. It's just a device that we have made because we decided we wanted to be separate. And it only works because we choose to use it. As soon as we stop using the ego as a way to maintain the separation, then it will not work anymore. It can't work on its own. It can't fight against us. It's only in use because we choose to use it. Paragraph 5. How can you teach someone the value of something he has deliberately thrown away? Like we have thrown away our connection to God, right? He must have thrown it away because he did not value it. You can only show him how miserable he is without it and slowly bring it nearer so he can learn how his misery lessens as he approaches it. This teaches him to associate his misery with its absence and the opposite of misery with its presence. It gradually becomes desirable as he changes his mind about its worth. I am teaching you to associate misery with the ego and joy with the spirit. You have taught yourself the opposite. You are still free to choose, but can you really want the rewards of the ego in the presence of the rewards of God? Excellent question. Paragraph 6. My trust in you is greater than yours in me at the moment, but it will not always be that way. Your mission is very simple. You are asked to live so as to demonstrate that you are not an ego, and I do not choose God's channels wrongly. The Holy One shares my trust and accepts my atonement decisions because my will is never out of accord with His. I have said before that I am in charge of the atonement. This is only because I completed my part in it as a man and can now complete it through others. Christ can complete the atonement through us. I think that's cool. My chosen channels cannot fail because I will lend them my strength as long as theirs is wanting. My chosen channels cannot fail. Oh, and that reminds me. Okay, I had to go find it. It's in chapter 3, section 4, paragraph 7. And Christ says, "Many are called, but few are chosen," should be, "All are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore they do not choose right. The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner." So here, in what we just read, my chosen channels cannot fail because I will lend them my strength as long as theirs is wanting. You are chosen as long as you choose to listen. Because Christ has called all of us, and the chosen ones are those who just choose right sooner. So it's up to us whether we are chosen or not. I just think that's interesting. So in the last video, we talked a little bit about intention and how meaningful seeking is consciously undertaken, consciously organized, and consciously directed. The goal must be formulated clearly and kept in mind. And so I wonder if that kind of relates to this as well. If the chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner, maybe it's those who have consciously chosen to seek after atonement and then allow Christ to work through them, to share atonement through them. Anyway, just a thought, just one of those little breadcrumb trails that maybe is significant, maybe I'm just making stuff up. Paragraph 7. I will go with you to the Holy One, and through my perception, he can bridge the little gap. Your gratitude to your brother is the only gift I want. Let's say that one again. Your gratitude to your brother is the only gift I want. I will bring it to God for you, knowing that to know your brother is to know God. If you are grateful to your brother, you are grateful to God for what he created. So gratitude to a brother is the same as gratitude to God. If you are praising God and giving God all this glory and thanks, and you hate your brother and you are so bitter against your brother, you can't be truly grateful to God unless you are also grateful for your brother, because God created your brother. So to be really upset at your brother is, in a way, to be upset at God for what he created. Again, you're interacting with the brother's like body and ego, but that's the goal, is to see through that and to actually to see the part of them that is God's creation, that is perfect and whole and complete. Through your gratitude, you come to know your brother, and one moment of real recognition makes everyone your brother, because each of them is of your Father. If you can just recognize one of us, just one, technically you'll recognize everyone, because we are all of the Father. Kind of like what I've said about knowledge. Once you know any one little thing completely, you know everything. And I think it's basically the same thing with your brothers. Once you know one of us, you know all of us. Because in knowing one, you know the Father, and in knowing the Father, you know us all. Love does not conquer all things, but it does set all things right. Because you are the kingdom of God, I can lead you back to your own creations. You do not recognize them now, but what has been dissociated is still there. Just because you've dissociated from your own creations doesn't mean they're gone. They're still there. And it talked about how we are the kingdom of God, I believe 2 sections ago. No, it was in section 3. So if you need a refresher on that one, go back to chapter 4, section 3. Paragraph 8. As you come closer to a brother, you approach me, and as you withdraw from him, I become distant to you. Remember in the New Testament, in Matthew 5:21 through 22, it's talking about how in the old days, if you murdered somebody, you were in big trouble and you'd be brought for judgment and all the things. And Christ basically says, but now, like with this new law, if you are angry with your brother, it says, whosoever shall say thou fool shall be in danger of hellfire. Like if you're even angry with your brother, if you even, are calling people fools, that is going to prevent you from coming closer to God, which is basically hell in our minds. And it goes on to say in verse 22, if you bring your gift to the altar and then remember that you have any disagreement with your brother, leave it, go and make things right with your brother, and then come offer your offering. And I kind of feel like it's saying the same thing that we are being told here. Don't try and come and be close to God when you're far away from your brothers. You have these disagreements and fights, and there's any lack of love between you. It's impossible to come close to God without also coming close to your brothers. And that doesn't mean, I think, in this life that you have to be intimately close with every person on the planet, but just the ones that you do come in contact with, make sure things are right between you and them, and do your part to act in love at all times. So I just want to read that one more time. As you come closer to a brother, you approach me, and as you withdraw from him, I become distant to you. Salvation is a collaborative venture. Write that one down for later. It cannot be undertaken successfully by those who disengage themselves from the sonship, because they are disengaging themselves from me. God will come to you only as you will give him to your brothers. I don't know why that one lands in my heart so much. God will come to you only as you will give him to your brothers. It's by sharing God, which is love. It's only in sharing that God, we receive what we give. Learn first of them, and you will be ready to hear God. That is because the function of love is one. And so I think when it's saying learn first of them and you will be ready to hear God, it's not saying you should learn about people before you learn about God. But if you can't resolve your differences and try to start seeing them as they are, as creations of God, you'll never really be able to hear God, because he's just going to tell you more love, right? And love for everyone. So if you can't love them, you won't be able to hear him. That's all for today. That was the end of our section. I hope it gave you something to think about. I hope you comment and just share thoughts that you had as well. And look forward to seeing you next time.